Hi and welcome to another edition of Winning Ways. And James is not here today. He's having his prosthesis readjusted. The limbs become more pronounced, so hopefully we'll be back on song. And in his place, I've got Andrew Harrison, my old mate. Andrew, thanks very much for filling in.
No problem, Paul. Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, it's always good to be here. And again, the big weekend took place at the Vol.
Yeah, I saw they had a lot of people there, which is encouraging. I mean,
Yeah.
people starting to pick up in Gauteng. Yeah, it was always a big. A big racing province, and yeah.
I was very impressed with the way it was run, how it was organised, and they've come a long way. I'm very pleased, and the result going to the wonderful Port Elizabeth gang, that's fantastic too.
There's a bit of egg on a few people's faces after that one. Yeah.
Wasn't that horse up there for last year, I think, or something like that?
Oh, I can't remember, but everybody was saying, no, he can't run how did he get in the race? And yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that race a little bit later. We'll go straight on to our 3 to follow. Yeah, there we go. Well done to let me get it right. Bloodstock South Africa. We've got that ready to run coming up, and you can see it's a lot of money there. Well done to Tom. Had a good chat with Tom Callahan, and things are moving along smoothly. Right, we're going to talk about a 3 to follow, and the first one happened at Clarewood on the 24th. And the horse we're going to find is a horse called Wild Lord. And having his debut run from the Dennis Dry stable, you can see him in the white, 5 off the outside. Gets a nice break, and then Andrew lacks that initial speed.
I think he's racing green, Paul. So you got Sean sort of steadies him up, and then they always try and move to the outside, even with the new rail. Then they just
that's right. They do. The eventual winners in the yellow with the white blinkers, and that's a horse called Victoria's Love from the Paul Gadsby stable. Shows speed. There was a lot of talk for the white-faced horse directly behind it, and that was called the Outlaw. But the horse we found is now being covered in behind in the white silk, starting to move towards the outside, and it runs a very good race.
Yeah, he got a little bit stymied behind a couple of horses as Sean tried to move him across, and I think he lost his stride a little bit. But he's starting to pick it up as he goes to the end. I think he'll be, when he comes the next time out, he'll
Funny enough, the horse on his outside ran a cracking good race too. That's Sunny Bull coming through. The winner, Victoria's Loves, got through to win. The Outlaws folded late in the race, but I think we've got to be with the horse. It was a good run by
I think it was an excellent run. If you look at Sunny Bill, he got a clear run basically the whole way up the straight. And the Outlaw, he sort of had to track over from the outside.
Yeah.
From the inside and moved to the outside, and he got starched a few times. I think he'll be a good horse to follow.
He'll be a very good horse to follow. That was our first one. The next one we're going to move on is actually a day later in Cape Town. It's a horse called Jet Flow, and this one is from Yogis's gang, and it's drawn 1 down the inside. And I think the penny drops late in the race for this horse. Andrew, as you can see, he gets it into the race, but it didn't fly at the gates.
He gets it into the race, and then you watch him around the turn. He starts pushing.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, Durbanville's a pretty tough course to race on in the first place. If you don't keep your position, you're basically gone.
Yeah, there you can see him in the platinum colours.
Yeah, he rode it.
He can scrub along. There's a lot of speed out there with Hurricane Wind, who is your eventual winner, runs a cracking good race. And our horse eventually finishes 3rd, but sits in behind, She's a Looker, You Beauty, Hurricane Wind, and even Cape Deezer, who falls out quite quickly.
I think this was an excellent run, Paul. Those sort of things, especially at Durbanville, you go to another course a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's tight here. It's tight and fast.
And
gone down the inside, just been punched along by Aldo de Meyer. The front 2, and the Hurricane Wind, as I say, is your winners, coming just ahead of it, coming down the inside. Hurricane Wind puts in a bold effort down the inside to grab You Beauty. And just if you have a look here, Hurricane Wind is going to win it down the inside. Behind him, getting a smack now, is the horse we've found.
Jet Flow, she seemed to lose concentration halfway up the straight. It was like, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
Once they got pushed out, then she picked it up and ran
correct.
on.
As you can see there, she quickens up really late when the penny drops.
Actually,
Yeah, be with that one. That's from Cape Town, Jet Flow. And the last one we found was from this weekend up at Scottsville, and a horse called Falco. who is out of that very good mare Maelstrom, who ran second in the filly sprint, owned by the Youngs. And here it is, drawn one. They managed to get Arthur Marcus to ride it. And there it is down the inside. In the Young Silks, they, as I say, they raced the mother Maelstrom, who was a very, very good filly. And this runs a very good debut.
No, Paul, it's very green, and I think Anton just well, he gave her a really nice ride.
Yeah.
I think she's going to improve lengths on this.
Yeah, I spoke to Craig Goody about it, and he said very laid-back horse. Arthur was very pleased with the run. It shows good speed, which is always a very good sign for a laid-back horse. Your eventual winners in Mary Slack's colours. It's a horse called Nigel Mansell, a Brazilian horse debuting, so a very good run by the winner as well. But here it just comes off the bit, does the Young's horse.
Yeah, well, you've got a racing green. There's horses coming across. Not quite sure what she's going to do, and quickens up nicely.
Yeah,
it stays on there and
stays on. That's what I liked about it, because the gang have moved up in the centre of the course. There you can see Arthur in third, and that's where it finishes. The front two are having a great race, and Arthur says, "Come on, pick it up." And this horse stays in the race. This is a very good debut, and I think you'll find it's going to be one to follow. Mediterranean Man and Nigel Mansell are fighting it out, and just in behind them, have a look at that in third, just learning the ropes. Falco, be with that one as well.
I think it's a definite one for next time. I think it'll be hard to beat her.
Yeah, well, there we go. Those are our three to follow. Let's see what happens in the Blast from the Past. And our Blast from the Past, Andrew, this year features none other than the Longfellow, Lester Piggott. Hey?
I always laughed. There was some journalist asked him, he said, "Lester, why do you ride with your backside so high in the air?" He said, "Well, I've got to put it somewhere."
Do you remember, just before we go on and talk about Lester, just to reminisce for a moment, Lester had the Old Man O'Brien job. Do you remember? He was Ballydoyle's rider, and he decided to freelance, and he said, "I'm going to go out and ride for the Wildensteins and ride for everybody." And they weren't enamored of them, but I think they took on Eddery. And that was the year of El Gran Senor.
Yes.
And El Gran Senor was the horse of the time, and he was going to win the Derby, there's no doubts. And O'Brien's son David had a horse in the race, and he cruised up Pat Eddery, and anyway, the horse didn't see it out of Grand Senor. He got beaten in the neck by his son's horse, and they were huddled in the parade ring, all the connections afterwards. And Piggott walked by and he said, "Miss you, me boys." He had that.
He had that little turn of phrase, which was excellent. You know, he had a face like a well-kept graveyard. I saw. Yeah.
That's right. The Longfellow. Every time you get out of the UK, not every time. Most times I get out to the racecourse, you'll see him. He's there. You know, he's.
He was a brilliant jockey.
Yeah, great. Remember
he had the judge of pace. I remember he rode a horse for Michael Erie at Scottsville once. It was a 5 furlongs when he came out to ride Swan Prince.
Yes.
And he got a ride for Michael. I think it was the first race at Scottsville. He never moved the whole way.
Yeah.
Never moved, and it got up on the line to won by about a head or a neck or something like it. Came back to the parade ring. All the owners were saying, "Oh, what a great rider, what a great." They said, "How's it, Lester?" He said, "Get rid of it." It never won another race.
What a man. Well, let's go to Blast from the Past.
At all in your choice of your number one hero on the flat, the great Lester Piggott?
Well, there's only one Lester. You know, he's probably packed up 6 years ago, and still you talk to anybody in the street, you know, you mention, you know, any other flat race jockey, and the normal guy won't have heard of him. Lester, that's all you've got to say, and they'll know immediately. Absolutely a one-off.
Never Say Die chased by Ferrier, last furlong, it's 100 yards and Never Say Die skating it with Ferrier moving up fast, and at the post it is Never Say Die.
The thing about Lester and the legend is it went on.
Hadn't started riding age 12, I'm sure he'd never made it as a jockey because his weight would have been so bad by the time he was, you know, 4 years had gone by. I think unless he'd had that success and tasted you know, victory at that age. Very difficult, you know, once you've...
Roberto inching his way back as they come to the line. It's a photo finish, Roberto and...
Feeds off itself because he, like all top sportsmen, they have an immense inner belief. And once you've got a little bit of success, you know, you had a few classics at a very early age, all that did was just bolster it even more, you know. So if a horse wanted holding up, or, you know, as very often the case, you get to a top class race, jockeys will tend to go just a little bit quicker than they ought to be going. He just had that extra bit of nerve and confidence to just say, hang on, let's just sit and wait.
Coming to challenge Hotgrove, and it's Lester Piggott and William Carlton. The Bistro on the near side, Hotgrove on the last side, and the Bistro wins it from Hotgrove, looking from his third.
You know, the number of times he used to love to come from off the pace, hold horses up, get them switched off straight away, and then just bring them into a race. And, you know, that was his hallmark, really.
Lester Piggott on Lechinsky. It's here on the far side. Lester Piggott on the near side of Lechinsky. Lechinsky coming to take it up from Shear and racing up towards the line. It's a miss for Lester Piggott. Lechinsky's gone clear. Lechinsky's in the middle. Shear is second. Lechinsky going away, being chased by Blakeney now. It's the two Derby winners who look like being first and second. Lester Piggott looks over his shoulder. Blakeney's making ground on him, but Lester's just letting him canter. What a horse this is. He's trotted up. Lechinsky's the winner. Blakeney's second.
Lester Piggott, 3 weeks short of his 55th birthday, but back on an English track after 5 years.
He just had the heart for it, you know, even late on in his career. You never saw him duck an issue. You never a question of, oh, I'm not going to go for that gap. And that victory on Royal Academy at the end of his career was just something special.
There was a certain inevitability about it. He'd only been riding again 3 weeks. Vincent O'Brien had teased him out of retirement. He'd had a couple of winners in England. He'd gone over there. Here he was in a Group 1 race, the most important race of the season for Vincent, who was struggling at the time. And he rode Royal Academy from behind. And I can remember a horse called It's All Greek to Me, ridden by Corey Nakatani, hitting the front, looking all over the winner. And there was that familiar sight of a horse in the Sangster colours going flat out, with Leicester going flat out, and there was an inevitability that he was going to get there. It was one of the best races, the best finishes I've ever seen.
Greek to me as a short lead, expensive decision, battling back, mark of distinction. Royal Academy is thundering down the center of the turf. Carson Stein is fifth. They're coming down to the finish. Lester Piggott flailing away at Royal Academy. It's All Greek to me toward the inside. Here's the wire. Head bobbing finish. Royal Academy does it. And the living legend out of retirement, 54-year-old Lester Piggott pulls off the...
Oh, there we go, Andrew. What a man. What a rider.
Jeez, you could ride. I mean, you talk about all the jockeys today and all over the world, but you know, Piggott, every time you mention his name, I get goosebumps because I mean, he was
Do you remember
so good.
it was one of his mates who made a comment about bloodstock agent? What was it? You didn't like bloodstock agents?
No, bloodstock agents. He said they were one rung lower on the social ladder than child molesters.
They come up with some great crap. Well, we hope you enjoyed Blast from the Past. We'll be back with Plum of the Week.
Towards the inside, now trying to close the gap in. They 5 lengths clear of Break of Dawn. Now Formation looms up to Dolomiti, and Formation picks up the lead with 200 to go. And Formation in the St. John Grey colours is going to win the listed Emerald Fillies handicap in fine style. Kevin Larena and Formation by 4 lengths. Second, Dolomiti. Break of Dawn third. Flitter a distant fourth, then came Size Does Count. Tomorrow.
Well, there we go. Plum of the Week and Formation looked to be the right horse, and 28 to 10 and 3 to 1 traded in large amounts in Interbet. Definitely the place to be. Get on as Interbet. They do get that extra stretch.
That was a good price anyway. Whatever you took.
Yeah, that was the Plum of the Week. We'll be back with current affairs. Right, welcome back to Current Affairs for this week. We had one major race at Group 2. We've been speaking about it earlier. Andrew and myself talking about the big race at the Vaal, the Emerald Cup, and it turned out to be a great success. Before we talk about Andrew, our friend Mark de Kock was at it again, and on Friday he went out to Newmarket and he brought the famous Igugu back into action.
And she ran a creditable race. Paul, I'm one of those naysayers about Igugu. She's a very good filly. I don't think she's right up there with the champions, but she's run an excellent race there.
Yeah. All right, well, let's have a look at the race she ran in the Shadwell International, and this was a comeback here. Here, you know the famous Sheikh Mo Silks.
By the keen travelling expressly, switches against the rails. Maureen held up with Lannon Sark towards the rear of that group in company with Zariga, and then the blue cap of Nurpur. Private Alexander on the stand side is roughly, it would appear, about in mid-division and being pushed along on this near side. So they're racing down then with over 3 furlongs still to travel. Igugu over on the far side travels well. Estikama being ridden along. Falls of Laura comes next. Purr along trying to improve. Still travelling okay is expressly. Lannon Sark asks for an effort. Maureen is being ridden along. Private Alexander still solo under this near side rail. Igugu over on the far side has the lead. From in second place, Lannon Sark, who's making good progress to come and chase Igugu, who heads towards the furlong pole with the lead. Zariga staying on stoutly as well. Igugu with Zariga. Lannon Sark between horses. Zariga coming home very strongly and running down Igugu on the run to the line. It's Zariga who gets up to beat Igugu. Lannon Sark was third. Maureen was fourth. They were a long way clear of fifth place Purr along. Eventually the solo runner, Private Alex.
Very good run.
That was an excellent run, Paul, but as I was saying, I think she's just that tad short of top international
When she
class.
was winning Vodacom Durban July and Metropolitan, she looked to be
but
unbeatable.
I think the Met race, the last Met that she ran in, I think she was a tad lucky.
Yeah, she wasn't quite herself.
She wasn't quite herself. I mean,
Prep
everybody
wasn't
said that
good.
she wasn't quite herself.
But a July winner's a young horse.
Yeah, no, she's very good. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that she's not a good horse, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying at international level, she's just that little tad
Maybe she's
short.
just starting to find herself a bit. I know Michael did say that he's really got her coming back to herself, and a pleasing effort because she has got ability.
Yeah, but if you want to see a top horse, I think you watch Soft Falling Rain. I think that was, I mean,
Yeah,
that he's international class
Yeah.
all over.
Well, before we watch that, let's have a short break. Right, staying with Newmarket because our friend Michael de Kock starting to step them out. And as James alluded to last week, he's now called a British trainer as well. And they had the Naif Joel Stakes. And bear in mind that Soft Falling Rain had won 7 in a row and was beaten the other day. And we needed to know where this horse was going, Andrew.
Yes, Paul, I think, but the last race in Dubai, when I think it was the Guineas that he ran in.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was an absolutely incredible race. I mean, he showed there that he had absolute steel resolution. I mean, because he just kept finding it when he was beat.
That's, people thought, being by National Assembly, there was every possibility he might have more speed than stamina. And his last run in Dubai, I think, showed that he's a very good horse.
No, he did, yeah. I mean, that race proved to me that he had everything. And the first run in England, he obviously was a bit short of it.
They canted and sprinted. It just
but
didn't map out. He ran second, for those who don't know. But here was his second run over in the UK. It was the Naif Joel Stakes at Newmarket on the 27th.
Green cap, Soft Falling Rain has committed a good 2 furlongs from home. Over on the far side, Penitent is boxing on. Monty Ridge trying to drop on a Soft Falling Rain back and outstay it, but they go inside the final 2. Soft Falling Rain, Monty Ridge being gathered up. Penitent over on the far side. Soft Falling Rain leads down into the dip. Shifting left-handed, Monty Ridge, the moment of truth. Can the horse close on the uphill climb to the line? At the moment, Soft Falling Rain is holding Monty Ridge. Premier Loco staying on for third, but it's Soft Falling Rain who is powering away. We'll see out the mile in style. A high-class performer wins the Naif Joel Stakes. Soft Falling Rain beat Monty Ridge. Premier Loco an honourable third. Penitent winner last year, fourth this.
There we go, an honourable third. It was beaten 8.5 lengths.
You have to see, Richard Hughes just sat on the second horse the whole way. He sat and sat and sat. I mean, Paul Hannigan went early.
Yes.
Hughes was still sitting, but when he pushed the pedal, there was nothing there.
Nothing there. And Andrew, it's Soft Falling Rain's now got to be going back into a Group 1 again.
No, definitely. I think he'll be, but he's a terrific horse. I think he'll be hard to beat.
Very, very good. And lovely to see a South African bred horse producing the goods. Well done to Michael and his connections, and that was for Sheikh Hamdan, which augurs well, because Sheikh is starting to up his support for Michael de Kock, which can only augur well for all of us.
Well, he's won the right race, yeah. Sponsored by the boss, yeah.
That's right. Okay, now let's talk South Africa. We had Saturday, the big, I think, 10,500 people packed into the Vaal racecourse, and it was an absolutely wonderful day. I was lucky enough to be there to see all the action, good horses running throughout the day. But the big race, it's a hell of a race for 600,000 Rand. And a bone of contention was aired by Michael Azzi, and I think correctly so, that why are you penalising your top horses? Why not? Why give arguably the best horse in sand 64 to carry?
Paul, I think in a race like this, they should set a benchmark. If you want to make it a handicap, top weight 60.
Yes, and work down.
And work down, make it a long handicap.
Yeah.
So if you come in at the bottom under sufferance, you want to run, you run.
You want to run, correct.
But I mean, why penalise a horse with 64 kilos, especially on that surface?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk around that it was too short for Pylon, and he ran the race of his life, giving a lot of weight to the winner, and he got badly cut into, I believe. The talk on the track was this horse got cut into, so Pylon is a super sand horse. But let's not detract from the PE gang.
No, they always seem to come up and sort of stouch everybody's the big centres are sort of pumping up their own horses, and they come sneak in through the back door. PE is very competitive these days. You cannot ignore them.
Oh yeah, and they're stronger. Their races are full. They're big fields. It's very good racing. They're synonymous with great stayers too. From the Greaves, the Smiths, the Millers, they come up and they come and plunder these races over the ground.
But they cater for those sort of horses. But I think because of the South African program, as the horses get older and they send them off to PE, the horses that stay properly go to Port Elizabeth, because we don't cater for them anywhere else.
That's correct. And it's wonderful. I love the PE. Wonderful people in Port Elizabeth racing, from the administrators right down to the grooms.
I've never raced there, sir.
I've raced there. I had a string there many times. Yvette Bremner took over my string from me, and she's done a wonderful job. She's an excellent trainer. She's firing out the winners. But really nice people. You want to have a nice time, go to PE Racing. From the commentator, who's a good guy, right the way down. So let's go and have a look at this race at the Vaal, where a horse called In a Rush hurdled into town.
Uncle Tommy's a length behind those. Across the ice is also further back in the field as Shattered Image continues to take them along and lead the way. In a Rush and Nice Stride. Pylon is there in the middle now. Storm Surfers 2 lengths off those leaders now. They're being followed further back in the field by Contador's got 3 lengths to make up. Here comes Billy, is racing just in behind that lot with 4 to go. Tabor is on their outside. In a Rush and the white sleeves. Pylon, Storm Surf now moving in. Uncle Tommy, they got 2 to go. Here comes Billy is further back with 300 to go. In a Rush, Uncle Tommy is between runners. Pylon in the orange and Storm Surf is over to the outside. Then Shattered Image is further back, but it's still In a Rush as they come to the 100. Pylon is trying to take giant strides and come again. Storm Surf and Uncle Tommy behind that, but In a Rush has got something to say here from PE's holding off Pylon, and it's In a Rush who stays on best to win the Emerald Cup. Pylon was second, Uncle Tommy behind that. Here comes...
Yeah, In a Rush, fantastic. Well done to all the connections, Francois Herald, Gavin Smith, and a wonderful day. We touched on it, and I'm really pleased for them.
Yes, Paul, and it's just lovely for PE Racing, because they always sort of regarded as the sort of the backwater of racing, but it's unbelievable.
They've come through, and you know, the Hampton Stakes, I think it was Com Nadu first and second again. They're making his race, so the people are starting to visit. I think once we get our polytracks working all around the country, you'll find there'll be a lot of visitors to a race meeting that is well done. Well done to Larry at the RA, well done to Clyde Basil, the whole gang. It was just a superb day.
That's great, Paul. Yeah, I wasn't there, so
okay. Let's move on. We've got a couple more things to talk about. I want to talk about the big race on Sunday. People mustn't forget that it's a very influential race, the Arc de Triomphe. We've had a few who've won the Arc de Triomphe who've become stallions in this country. But again, it looks a very interesting race. There's a favourite. I think we've got the betting here. We can just show you the betting. It runs on Sunday. So this race is on Sunday. I think it's the 6th. And here is the betting for the race. I'll quickly run through it with you. Orfev, who's Andrew Bar stallion, I don't know, called Stay Gold, is 5-2, a legitimate favourite. Very good odds.
Paul, I must admit, I don't know too much about him.
Okay. Treve is the second favourite at 9-2. He's by Motivator, and we all know Motivator.
Motivator won the Derby.
Won the Derby. Then Novelist, the 6-1 shot Novelist. And this is by Monsun, who I think is a Monsieur line horse.
Right, so you should stay the distance.
Should stay the distance. And then we got Kizuna, who's by Deep Impact, the Japanese horse.
The Japanese have actually taken a liking to this race.
Yeah. They're very good. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that they seem to be targeting the Melbourne Cup and the Arc de Triomphe. So
touching on the Melbourne Cup, will the Aussies ever win it again?
Never, not the way they're breeding at the moment. But I think the Japanese have picked up on two things. So if you want to promote your Japanese racing and Japanese horses, you pick the two best races in the two continents where you operate the best. So it's not a bad strategy.
Deep Impact's a wonderful stallion.
Yes, he is.
Wonderful. Now, Dawn Approach is, I believe, a doubtful starter. He's by New Approach, and we saw him behave terribly in the Epsom Derby.
I think he's one of those horses that the Poms have blown up to be better than he actually is. But anyway, obviously, he's a decent horse, but I think he's not as good as I think he is.
Then we've got 3 12-1 shots. And what's interesting is when you get down this far, 2 of them are by Galileo. Now, Galileo's influence, especially going through England, has been outstanding. And they've got the horse that I'm tipping the public is Intello at 12-20. He's by Galileo. And Andre Farb trains him. And Andre Farb said if this horse stays, he thinks he'll win. And Rule of the World is also by the same stallion.
No, Brian
yes.
Horse, yes.
So it should be a great race. It always is.
It always is a great race, yes. Yeah, ask Mace.
Yeah, that's right. What he rode Mtota.
Mtota, yeah, he got beaten second by Tony Bin. Yeah,
that's right, Tony Bin beat him. I know that. Yeah, we all watch that race. So don't forget, Sunday is the Arc de Triomphe. It's a major race on the racing calendar. Try and watch it. And then before we leave this and get to Dale Carnegie's greatest student, Bill Lambert. Yeah. Carice Teton, you were telling me that you'd looked up his stats.
He's doing brilliantly in Hong Kong. I mean, the first race of the season he won. He's won 5 races since. I think he's at 7 places and a few others. He's sitting on second behind Dougie White on the, I guess, early season.
days.
But I mean, for a bloke who's just arrived, and I'm told that his work ethic has been absolutely superb. He's been up there at 4 o'clock in the morning. He's riding work. He was there for barrier trials.
Is it not the norm?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, but apparently the people just love him because he's there and he's polite, and he works hard, and he's a lightweight. So the Purdens and the Dougie Whites, they can't take those bottom rides.
Yeah.
So and he's showing so much promise that he's going to get a majority of those rides. So
a good lad, and people might
lad.
forget that his first 10 winners, 8 came from me. I gave him his first win at Carice Teton. He was my appy. And a wonderul kid. His young brother, Mervin's at the academy, and let's hope he follows in the same
One thing about Carice, I remember I organised this trip to Korea one time. You phone him up, you tell him what the problem is, I need this. It's there.
It's done.
You don't have to beg him and phone him. It's done.
All right, Andrew, thanks very, very much. You're going to enjoy listening to William of Wembley. Great man.
He's a great man. I love Bill. He makes racing so much fun.
Great fun. There we go. And just before we do, but Andrew has got this magazine out. The latest parade is out. Zane's going to zoom in on this. Try and get your latest parade magazine, which is out. Could you come in? There we go, a little bit closer. And it's got a very, very good article by Charles on champion trainer Mark de Kock. It's got Royal Ascot. Try and get the parade magazine. Well, that concludes current affairs. You've got to watch Bill Lambert and Your Call. Our racing personality of the year is Bill Lambert. Hi and welcome to this week's edition of Your Call, and I've got the irrepressible Bill Lambert who's coming to join me and come and talk to me. He is the brand ambassador for Gold Circle, a man who brightens up everyone's day. Andrew Harrison wrote a very interesting article about him. I'm going to show you the photo from that day before we cross to Bill, if you can get it in the photo. And there is our man Bill. Everybody knows him. He's a famous hat and one of the generals of racing, as I like to call him. But I do like the first line here: once seen, never forgotten, once heard, always remembered. Bill, welcome.
Thank you very much, Paulus.
It's a wonderful article by Andrew Harrison.
Yes, I think it's a bit excessive, but it really is a wonderful article that he wrote.
Yeah, no, Bill, you are one of the stalwarts of the game, and I want to take you back, if you don't mind, to who I'd call the Rat Pack of racing. You and your bunch of mates from yesteryear who have been such great captains of the industry over the years. I'm talking about the Scott brothers, Nick Labuschagne, Chris Sanders, Benji Johnson, Michael Rattray.
Yeah.
Mates and colleagues, and you've been together for years.
Oh, for years and years. That is our gang. Of course, we were called the Gang of Seven when Gold Circle was going through a very difficult patch, and we got together. Robin Burnell was also one of the group. And we were together, and being the youngest of that gang, I suppose they suddenly thought that I should be the one that led them.
Most erudite.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, but I won't want to add that we were of yesteryear. I'd like to think we're still
absolutely
very much a force to be reckoned with today.
I agree. A lot of major decisions have gone through your brain's trust, your group.
Yes, certainly. And people ask us for our advice, and we give input. We take no role, of course, in the management side of racing, but we're there to advise and to help and to promote. I think that's the most important.
Now, of the Rat Pack, if I can call them that affectionately, a lot stood for Gold Circle over the years with the different turf clubs. It used to be turf clubs before we had the Gold Circle board, didn't it?
Yes, every single one of those that you've mentioned had a leading role in his heyday. Either as a steward or as a chairman of one of the respective turf clubs. And of course, even in the jockey club, and as far as Mr. Johnson is concerned, he is, of course, the doyen of the academy.
Absolutely. It's been his passion to get that sorted out.
Absolutely, and those children are all like his own.
He doesn't miss a race meeting, Ben
Never
Johnson.
misses a race meeting. No.
And he calls you William.
Calls me William.
That
Yes.
do you the gang call you William? I know, but what does Georgie Rolls call you?
Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid, yes. Oh, yes, I've got so many different names, it doesn't actually matter.
William of Wembley springs to mind?
William of Wembley, yes.
Is that
my constituents named me
political
that.
name?
Yes. When I first stood, my constituency was Wembley, where we live, and somebody said, what could be better? We've got William of Wembley, and it stuck.
It stuck all the way through. I remember once you did say to me, you and I have travelled over the world together. We've had some great fun gallivanting.
We have.
And you did say to me that Chris Sanders was one of the great chairmen you worked with.
Oh, yes, without any shadow of doubt. He was a real captain of industry, as you know. He was one of the leading industrialists of Natal in those days, now KwaZulu-Natal. His family were the founders of the Tongaat Sugar Group, together with the Armstrong family, which is my wife's side.
So that Paddy's
So
side,
we've known them forever and a day. And in fact, his younger brother Edward is presently staying with us now. I've just left him at the beach.
At the beach, yes. Yeah. Well, that is absolutely wonderful. And again, I'm just going to touch on the Rat Pack. Michael Rattray has set up a wonderful game reserve. He has an exciting stud, big player as well.
Yes, huge, and he's got a very astute brain, has Michael. You know, you can go to him with any sort of question and he'll think about it and give you a very reasoned and balanced answer. He's irreplaceable, I would think, especially when we were having the turmoil, those turbulent days with the demerger and the divorce, if you like, with the Western Cape. Michael Rattray played a very leading role in that and bringing parties together.
The Scott brothers, they're still going strong. Robin,
yes.
Des, an astute businessman.
Oh, very much so. When he sold out his business to the breweries many years ago, and that's when, of course, they started High Down Stud, and Des hasn't lost it at all, nor has he lost his enthusiasm or passion.
Loves it.
Oh, and his brain, anything to do with racing, it's just like, it's so razor sharp.
And he's had some very good horses over the years.
Well, he has, hasn't he? He's the great politician would be one that would just spring to mind without even having to think.
Yeah, talking about other guys, Nick Labuschagne, an Oxford graduate.
Yes.
Now, he's a guy who's had some very good horses. I remember Perry, and
yes.
your mates had some good horses over the years.
Oh, we've all been so lucky. We all seem to be going through a bit of a lean patch at the moment. But that does happen, of course, doesn't it? Poor
Absolutely.
Ben's got a whole string, and they're not seeming to be running at the moment. But Nick Labuschagne, he's a great stalwart of racing. He was a very fine chairman of the Durban Turf Club. But then he had that business acumen that went with it, and his sporting ability.
Yes.
You just mentioned his rugby, but he's the last remaining member of the founding committee of the World Cup Rugby. So he jets around the world going to all the international games. That's the last one left now.
I bumped into him in New Zealand. We went racing together. Really? We had a beer together. Yes. The doctor.
Yes, he's a very fine friend.
And his son Kim's involved in the industry.
Yes,
he loves the industry.
Yes, he does. Yes, and hopefully Patrick Lambie, his grandson, will also get the bug at some stage.
That's right. It's amazing how interwoven it all is. But so those are the Rat Pack of the days. Now,
yes,
your father was Frank Lambert.
Yes, he was.
He had a big race named after him.
Yes, Frank. Well, he was passionate about the game, and that's how I came into it. For my 21st birthday, a stupid thing to do, he gave me a filly as a birthday present for my 21st. Jackie Gorton was the trainer. Yes, by Netherwood. She was a pretty little thing, out of a mare called Distillate, one of Archie Dell's good families. She wasn't very big, but she ran 7 seconds before she won her maiden race, with Charlie Berens riding at Scottsville. I think she was about 1 to 10 on. Yeah. She won by a short head, and she never ever ran another place.
So she had 7 seconds. So you're nearing your 30th when your 21st birthday present won.
Well, exactly.
Well, that was fantastic. And then you followed through now. Your boys, you've got 3 sons, haven't you?
3 sons, yes.
They love the game too.
Yes, all 3 of them. And I'm very lucky because
they follow you.
Oh, they do. The youngest Pumpy's probably the most interested and the keenest.
And he's
the most knowledgeable.
Yes. Yeah, he loves the game.
Yes, he does.
Wonderful outlook on life, hasn't he?
They've got colours of their own, the 3 of them. They're a little syndicate, and they've got a share in a horse with you.
That's right, yeah.
We've got it sans souci, and they're one of the shareholders.
Well, wonderful that they stay interested in the game.
Yes.
Your wife interested in the game, Paddy?
Oh, no, I think she's more than done her stint. I think the last thing she ever wanted to do was to marry anybody who was involved with racing, because her father was so steeped in it. Ross Armstrong was a chairman of the Durban Turf Club. Her brother Graham was also a steward and vice chairman for many years under Matthew McGilligan. So it's in the family, and the last thing she wanted was to land with another one.
And along came Wembley.
William
of Wembley to do the courting.
And 3 sons too. So she's got
Have you any daughters?
No. 2 daughters-in-law.
Daughters-in-law.
And they're wonderful children.
They're all safe. Now let's talk about your position with Gold Circle, because you're one of the great speakers. We've got some wonderful speakers in the industry, and you right up there with the best I've ever heard, amusing and very forthright.
I don't know about that.
No, I find you extremely amusing.
Do you?
Yes,
Thank
I do.
You.
You decided years ago you're going to follow in racing's footsteps, and you became chairman.
Yes, I was at Scottsville first, and then when the merger took place of the Clarewood Durban Turf Club and the Pietermaritzburg Turf Club, we became Gold Circle, and I was the first elected chairman of the merged 3 as the regional chairman here in KZN.
Yeah.
And I held that position for 5 years, which was wonderful. We got it all going.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Loved it. Of course, we don't have regional boards anymore. No. It's just a company board.
And now you came through the ranks of the Pietermaritzburg Turf Club, which was where you live. You still live up that way, don't you?
Yes. My grandfather came in 1896 from a place called Dorchester in Dorset. He was a young man. I think there were 13 in the family, and he came here and he started a business called Lambert's Outfitters in Pietermaritzburg, and I
Is it
followed
still
into
going?
business. No, we sold that thankfully.
Or was it
several years ago? Yes.
But it wasn't. It was well known.
Oh, very well known. We did all the school clothing for all the private schools and government schools, and in fact we were the agents in South Africa for many of the different brands. McCulloch and Bothwell used to buy from us, as did Payne Brothers and Greenacres in those days.
Oh, wonderful. And so then you got involved. Did you
Yes.
get into horse racing ahead of politics?
Oh, long before,
Long
yes,
before.
long before.
Politics came later.
Came later, much later, yes.
Okay, and when you got involved with the old Scottsville group, you had the late Roy Eckstein as a mate.
Yes,
He's a
yes.
Maritzburg boy.
Born and bred there himself. And we had a fine band. We had my father, of course, and all his team. Then Bobby Norton and Pip Davies and all those
Wonderful
that
names.
group of stewards. And then my vintage, of course, were Henri Schreiser, Roy Eckstein, Kevin Mitchell, Rodney Trotter.
Of course.
And Alan McEwen and
all Maritzburg boys.
All Maritzburg. And of course, they all dropped out when we had the merger, because we had so many from each club in the beginning.
Now,
and Roy became the first chairman of Gold Circle
Yes.
as the merged entity.
okay, and then just let's go back to your schooling, if you don't mind, because Markelas.
It was, yes.
You're staunch Markelas.
Passionate about the school. I do have to say it. I don't think there is another one quite like it in the country. I have to say it in my opinion, doesn't have an equal. It's a great school and a fine establishment.
Spud was written about it.
Yes, and Spud van der Riet, who wrote the book, was actually at school there with my boys. They know him well, yes.
And so when they must have read the book, they must have laughed.
And they know who all the characters are. They'll tell you which housemaster that was, and which teacher that was, and everything in the book they say is absolutely true.
Goodman, I think, went to it.
Oh, I would
think
say
Alistair
he did.
might have.
Alistair Gordon
Alistair
went,
Gordon.
yes.
Yeah, anybody
James
else?
Goodman.
James Goodman, yeah.
Those are two that of the training fraternity.
Did you ever meet Goodman's father and brother?
Oh, yes. Well, they were colourful people, weren't they? The Goodman twins, everybody, they roll off the tongue like a
the Goodman twins.
The Goodman twins, yes.
And they're going strong, and they...
Yeah, I haven't seen them lately, but I do
I met them
about them.
in the last 6 months. A wonderful time. They really remind me of Michael Caine.
Do they? Yes.
They've
Well,
got
look
cigars
at that. The cigar, yes, and the hat and everything that goes with it. Well, James is not too far behind.
No, he's also a cigar man.
Yes. He lights it in the morning and hope it's still burning brightly in the evening.
And Bill, just staying with your school for a moment, must have been some great sportsmen come out of that place.
Out of Michael House, yes. We've had huge legions of sports. Springbok.
Patrick
hockey.
Lambie?
No, but that's an interesting one. We've hockey, we've had tennis, we've had squash, we've had cricket, umpteen Springboks, and we'd never had a Springbok rugby player until Patrick Lambie came. And now there's a slew of them coming up behind. You just watch the space.
Just wait and see.
Wait and see. But Patrick's been a real credit.
So that would have been a chink in that school's armour, not having a Springbok, you know?
Yes, we should have had a couple before. Laurie Stewart should have been one, Peter Taylor should have been one, and Simon Norwood were three that really should have been, but just missed the cut. Something just prevented them.
It goes like that. Because
and of course they came from Natal too.
There hasn't been a Springbok rugby player come out of my school. What about Doug Campbell?
Well, there's a Michael House boy. I mean, imagine me forgetting Douglas. Dazzling Douglas. I mean, he's been part of it all.
I went to New Forest High School, which funny enough, hasn't got a Springbok rugby player. I don't think it's got a Natal rugby player. I don't think it's got a Dacres, but a lot of soccer players.
Well, I want to tell you, we've even had 2 archbishops, and that's quite something to come out of the school. We've done all that, all the right things. Yes, done all the right things. But let me tell you that it's worth seeing. It's worth a visit. Go and see the grounds are magnificent.
I saw it in the movie spot. I got to see it, but it looks fabulous. Yes. Who would their main rivals be, Bill?
Hilton College.
Okay.
Yes, Michael House was founded in 1896 and Hilton was 1872. And of course we still beaten by Maritzburg College. They were 1863. They're just having their 150th now this year and big celebrations up there. They were always very hard to beat at everything, but we're getting there now.
Fantastic era. Fantastic.
But Hilton are the great rivals.
And from the day you went, the day your sons went, do you think the same standards have been held? nowadays?
Oh, certainly, yes, and even better now. It's just advanced with technology and everything that goes with it. The staff are properly trained, and the new rector, he's going to really take that school to new highs. Greg Teron, he's brand spanking new. He came at the beginning of the year.
Afrikaanska.
Well, I suppose he's got that with that name. He must have had that sort of background, but he is anglicised and he's very competent. No, I've got a great faith in him.
Great faith. Bill, now let's talk about Gold Circle. You are the brand ambassador. What does that mean?
Well, it's an interesting question, Paulus. I suppose the name ambassador tells you that it's somebody that's there to promote goodwill, to open doors, to be there for the people. Make speeches, do presentations, and the role that I used to enjoy doing when I was a steward. And it's a new position they created, and I'm the first incumbent, and I hope I'm doing a good job.
Well,
the thing is to open the doors and get them into places they need to go to. And
sure. Bill, it's got you in a position where you meet with management at Gold Circle more often now, and you meet with the directors. How do you see things going, just from your sort of outside view?
Well, it was very difficult in the beginning. I do have to say that when I first came in, there seemed to be so many little undercurrents and really rough water. And it's starting to smooth now. The clouds are blowing away. The blue skies are coming. I think the demerger from the Western Cape has been a very good move. I think it was very unsettling for both sides. Well, they liked us as little as we liked them, as it were. So I think everybody was very happy.
And
we are friends.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we want both to thrive.
Oh, yeah. And my role, I see it, I was just saying to Michelle Nierak this morning, I'm going to probably, hopefully, play a bigger role in trying to make sure that there is peace and tranquility between the two. We're all in this industry together. And if one, we must really, the industries,
the Western Cape, we should
it's
all
far
be
bigger than us.
Common goal. Correct.
Absolutely, we're all on the same page, and we've got to get there.
Yeah,
we got some brilliant owners. You look. Well, of course, the Oppenheimers were a magical name.
Did you have much dealings with the Oppenheimers?
Oh, yes, very friendly over many years.
Wonderful people?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful people. And Bridget, of course, is absolutely the queen mum of racing. And I hear she's not very well at the moment, but
let's hope she gets better.
She's got a birthday coming up quite soon. But Mary, her daughter's carrying the flag. And Mary bought this huge place on the Gallops at Newmarket, and when we were in Dubai, she kindly invited me to come. So hopefully next year I'll
Talking about invited, Bill, you were invited to go to the Derby last year, weren't you?
Oh, by Bernard Cantor. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life. I'd never been.
Never been?
Never. And then to go there and experience, it was just it's magical. You can't ever describe it properly.
Bill, I remember in the Dubai trip that Phil Giorgio put on, in that boat on the last day, your speech, and the people just warmed to you, and you made that fantastic speech. From Michael de Kock to all his clients, everybody. It was absolutely wonderful.
Well, I think the champagne he'd given us helped, but the moment did overtake me, and I really did enjoy that. But champagne he gave me, which was
a generous man, Michael de Kock.
Oh, very, and he'd done so well.
Yeah.
He won those races. And
he always does.
We were all on a high.
He's a great ambassador.
Oh, hugely so, hugely so. I mean, he's brought the name of South African racing right to the fore internationally. And I think he's going to get even better. He's now starting to make his mark in England. I see Softly Falling Rains coming back, running next week. So let's hope it continues. Yeah. But he is an ambassador for the country.
Absolutely.
But he's a very nice person with it.
Very good. I'm a great mate of mine. James and I, when we do the Dubai information for our followers, he phones us, he talks to us.
Really?
He's really a good lad.
I was saddened that he didn't have any runners at Epsom the day we went for the Investec Derby, but I suppose the program, it was just one of those things. But he was there,
Yeah, I know.
Yes, and it was just so special, wasn't it?
It's a great day. You're next to the Queen.
Oh, right next door. You know, you could.
Did you doff your hat at her?
Oh, I did. Yes, one has to.
One has to. Correct.
Yes, one has to. But you know, you don't stare at her. Though she's right next door.
She does stare at anybody, Bill.
Well, you know, it was difficult because you know she was right there, and she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. And Prince Philip was there too, and the Duke
great patron of the industry.
Well, she loves it so much. You can see it's absolutely instilled in her. Yeah. But the best thing of all was after the races, after we all had the party started, and Marcus Euster and the whole board of Steinhoff were there, had their big AGM board meeting the next day, and we were waiting for the last bus to go. Were you champagning
with them?
Oh, yes, absolutely. But the best thing, we have our 13th race here at Greyville, yes, which everybody waits to see. I mean, it's become absolutely notorious now. But you talk about after the Derby, it's still bright sunlight.
That's right.
And the gypsies all get going there. Then they start fighting and had too much to drink and running around after somebody's losing ticket or whatever. They were fighting on the common edge. It was very
Where did
exciting.
you stay when you went? Because I've got a house in Epsom, and it's quite near the racecourse. But you must have been sort of shipped into London.
Oh yes, I was very lucky. Richemont and Remgro have a flat in Mayfair, which is very nice, and thankfully and very kindly, Yanni Durant, the CEO, allowed me to stay there, which was so central and convenient. I could just walk everywhere, and that's where I stayed, and that's where I walked up to where the Investec people are all staying, just round the corner. Okay. And that's where I saw that motor car that you were.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that now. Yes. Just before we talk about that motor car, I wanted to ask you that there's a new award that's been created by Gold Circle called Personality of the Year, yes, and in memory of Roy Eckstein.
Yes.
You were the second winner of it, and a wonderful award.
Oh, it was just the most special accolade. I don't think I've ever had anything like that. It was just so wonderful and so warming. Because Roy and I grew up together, and to win his award was something very special. Thank you.
When you made that award, you obviously didn't know anything about it, because the look of shock on your face.
You know, that's the most interesting thing you've said. In racing, my experience, it's worse than politics or anything. Anything that's confidential gets out very quickly. If you market highly confidential, personal knowledge and information only, that gets out the quickest. By the time you get to the car park, everybody knows about it. It's incredible. Yeah. And,
Bill,
how that award kept so quiet, I just don't know.
Bill, you told a joke at the awards evening.
Yes.
Could you repeat it for the fans out there, if you don't mind telling that story again,
well,
please?
No, I don't mind telling it at all, because that's where I saw it happen. I was walking down to the flat, and there was this motor car, and on the back bumper was one of these perennial stickers that people stick on their motor car bumpers, and this one said, "Ek mis Suid-Afrika vreeslik." Well, you know, that was on the bumper sticker, and within 5 minutes, when the owner came back, the window was smashed, the radio had been stolen, the CD player had gone, and there was a note on the seat, and it said, "Voel jy nou beter?" So, I mean, it just did have to say the middle of London. You get all these.
Bill, again, I remember the jokes you told us in Dubai. They're wonderful, wonderful. We could go on for hours.
Yes.
But it's been wonderful having you in here, Bill, and we've got to get you in again. And everything the best, and everything you've done for the industry.
Well, thank you very much, Paulus. I'm thrilled to have been asked to come and talk to you. But I do have to say it's the people that are involved in racing that really makes it so attractive. Not only just my group of Ben and George and Chris and all of those, and Mike Rattray that we are, and Nick Labuschagne that we race with regularly, but the other people, you know, from all walks of life, right from the very bottom.
They all know you.
Oh, and when I was driving down this morning and passed through the toll, you know, wanted to pay the money, there was this Indian gentleman in the booth, and he said, "Hey, Lani, what's good today?" I mean, you know, it's wonderful.
Bill, you're a household name in racing.
It's wonderful. So
we've got to get you again. We've just touched the tip of the iceberg, but Bill, thank you very, very much for coming in.
Yes, thank you very much, Paul. Thanks for asking me.
There we go. That's, again, wonderful to listen to our friend Bill Lambert. William of Wembley, that's the end of your call.